questions about Toronto coming into this season, okay? There were 3 questions. 1, is Kawhi healthy? Not 100% yet, and he's already the best player on the floor. 2, outside of the Spurs and Popovich, can Kawhi still be an elite player, like an MVP candidate level player? Again, he's still not obviously physically 100%, and the answer is yes. 2, 3, coaching change in Toronto. They just won 59 games. How's that going to work out? Well, actually, it was Nick Nurse's offense, right? Spread it out, more ball movement, more threes taken. That got them to the 59 wins. Not to take credit away from Dwayne Casey, who's an excellent coach, but when they changed the offense, they became more special. The problem was they didn't have a best player on the team good enough to take them to the promised land, and now they do. Presto changeo, DeMar DeRozan is now Kawhi Leonard. This Raptors team is a problem all year, and that includes for the Celtics in the conference finals. And if they get past the Celtics, they're going to be a problem for the Warriors, too.
By the way, DeRozan had a nice night, too, with the Spurs.
Time out. I'm not going to get on Max too much because of the position that he's taking, because it's consistent. And I applaud you when you're consistent. I really, really do. But I will say this.
Backhanded compliment.
As we sit here right now, we talk about the Raptors and we're, just pontificating about what they're going to be, et cetera, et cetera. It's based on game last night. Who were they going against?
The Cavs.
Again, who's without who?
Without
the defending Eastern Conference champions.
Excuse me, I'm talking now.
You're consistent.
Allow me to bring up the starting lineup for the Cleveland Cavaliers last night. Oh, Kevin Love, we know him. Cedi Osman, George Hill, Tristan Thompson, and Rodney Hood. Now, all I'm trying to say, like those guys, a couple of those guys helped LeBron win championships, mad love for them. I get it. But can we pump the brakes? I mean, Kawhi Leonard showing up last night for the Toronto Raptors and dropping 24 points on how much? 9 for 23, 2 shooting, by the way. That's 40% for the field. Nothing to brag home about, but it was all right. First game back, only played 9 games last year. We get all of that. The rest of the cruise intact. Listen, excuse me. The rest of the cruise intact. Kyle Lowry, Danny Green, tremendous upgrade because he's going to defend at the 2-guard spot. Plus, he's a pure shooter, okay? Valanciunas, Siakam. We see these names. We're familiar. So you got a system that's in place because, as you said, Nick Nurse obviously implemented that offense to some degree. So he's now your head coach. You got him. You got everybody else in place. And the only difference is the Kawhi Leonard instead of DeMar DeRozan. But we want to sit here and bloviate because he went up against Cedi Osman. You understand? Cedi Osman, all right? And Rodney Hood. Even though, listen, all I'm trying to say to y'all, can we pump the brakes?
You might be right.
Is Kyrie Irving on the Cavaliers?
Hold on, let me ask you this.
We
had a good debate, and you said you would want Kawhi to be the next guy to play with LeBron. You said you had a list of a bunch of other people you'd rather see play with LeBron than Kawhi Leonard, right?
Before him. Not that I wouldn't want to see him before.
Of course.
3 guys
you had
before.
3 guys before, right? And you have Boston as a lock, obviously, to go to the finals. And Max thinks it's 50-50 with Toronto. What will it take for Toronto to prove to you that they're a real threat to Boston and the Warriors?
Kawhi Leonard has to become the second coming of LeBron, KD, Anthony Davis. That's what will convince me.
Hold on. Time out.
That's what will convince me.
He's already had seasons statistically that resemble any one of those guys. He's already been a finals MVP. And furthermore, your whole hero ball thing at the end of games, let me just say, the Toronto Raptors ran into problems last year. They played perfectly. When the game got tight sometimes, they over-ISO'd DeRozan and Lowry, and they stopped playing the way they should have played. So not only is Kawhi an improvement over those guys, and he's a more disciplined player, but if you do need to play hero ball, he'll also be better at that.
First of all, don't you dare sit there and act like you telling us something we don't know. I'm the one that told you that, not only because I watched it, but because I was in the locker room talking with them about it last year when they played the Wizards, and I came right on first take and told you I was in that locker room after they had beaten the Washington Wizards, and it was something that they were concerned about moving forward. Fred VanVleet, DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, all of those boys. I told you that.
No,
sometimes you engage in too much ISO ball. You need to veer away from that, and we get all of that. that. But in the game of basketball, at some point in time, always remember I said this, Molly, because Max want to sit up there. And
Please, teach me.
It's actually so shameful that Max, who covers boxing, you understand, who understands this.
A one-on-one sport.
Let me finish. But it's a team that ultimately prepares you before you get in there by yourself. I'm only talking about the appreciation of elevating yourself individually. How in God's name do you not understand that at some point in time, it comes down to, here's the ball.
Right.
Take me to
Who was that on the Spurs?
All I'm saying to you is that there has to be Kawhi Leonard with this team.
That's all I'm saying. Who was that on the Spurs? Who?
Who's
that on the Spurs?
Tim Duncan.
Kawhi Leonard was the best player on the Spurs, which is why he got the MVP. Not just defensive.
DeMar DeRozan had 28 last night in the BT Wolves.
Yes, he did. DeMar DeRozan can ball.
Yeah.
There's no
Jimmy
question
Butler
about
was good
that.
too. Karl Anthony Towns.
There's no question about that.
Listen,
R.C. Buford and them did a great job.
Toronto's going to have a problem. You were right yesterday. Kyle Lowry. The question is, Kyle Lowry, is he? You bring up his size. Is he good enough to be the point guard on a team that takes them to the finals? That's the question. The question's not about Kawhi.
All right, that'll do it. Enough of you two, because we got a mega star coming up next. Nothing more Hollywood than having a star on the Walk of Fame. Get the bright lights. Paging Cedric, the entertainer.
My man.
There he is.
Oh, my
I'm
man.
ready to laugh.
Good morning.
How you doing? Good to see you.
Good morning.
I like the hat.
What's up?
They're downtown LA, and it's crazy. More and more buildings down here every time we come out. It's a good time to be an LA sports fan, Stephen A.
Yes, it is.
How about it? The Dodgers last night and Red Sox, one win away from the World Series. Are they a lock to make it?
The Dodgers?
Yes.
Oh, no. Oh, no. They up 3-2. Kershaw was absolutely sensational last night. He showed up. Obviously, he's had some postseason struggles, as Max and I have chronicled over the years. There is no doubt about that. But there have been times when Clayton Kershaw has stepped up and reminded everybody just how big time he is. Pitching 7 innings, leading them to a 5-2 victory last night, striking out 9. That curveball was something to behold, no question about it. In his likely last start at Dodgers, as a Dodger, unless they make the World Series. Let me be very, very clear. I love Milwaukee. I love them cardiac kids. And I'm of the mindset that the last 2 games being in Milwaukee, you got a 2-3-2 format. It's one of those situations where you got to go back to Milwaukee. I definitely think they're going to force a Game 7, and then Game 7 on the road for the Dodgers, anything can happen. So it's not a lock by any stretch of the imagination. I think the only thing that will be a lock, Max, is that there will be a Game 7 in Milwaukee.
Let me make sure I wasn't confusing in how I asked that question. Are the Dodgers and Red Sox locks to make the World Series? You got it. Both 1 win away. Okay.
Well, I got it. And you covered the Dodgers.
Not a lock.
I agree that the Dodgers are not a lock, but I want to say something about Clayton Kershaw. He's been an enormous postseason choker throughout his career. When he was at his best, especially, and at his best, he's one of the maybe 5 greatest starting pitchers who ever lived. When you look at the dominance of his era, he's the next thing to Sandy Koufax, another Dodgers great who always elevated in the postseason. Kershaw's consistently been worse. In fact, my Brian Kenny, now with the MLB Network, who for years was my Friday Night Fights partner, radio partner, and WhatIfSports.com partner. We used to dominate that game when we ran teams together. The point is that, fantasy baseball stuff.
Of course.
The point is that he did a deep dive into the history of starting pitching in the postseason, and never, ever in the history of baseball has there been a starter dominant like Kershaw who's gotten that much worse in the postseason as consistently as Kershaw. The fact that he's now turned it around, it looks like a little bit, I think has to do with the fact that he's a little past his prime. His fastball's not what it used to be. All those strikeouts were on breaking pitches. He had a great curveball, and he's forced to pitch a little bit more.
The only thing I would add to that is this. You say that, I agree with you. Brian Kenny, he said it. I get it. The one thing that I don't think is held enough, people take into account enough with Clayton Kershaw, is how he spent in the regular season. I have seen situations, well, first of all, Southern California, weather, sunshine, I talk about the cold. Well, guess what? The heat in baseball can affect you. Here's what I mean by that. You're on the mound. Listen to this. You're on the mound constantly. I've seen Clayton Kershaw dominate, and the Dodgers have a 5-run cushion, and they'll send him out to the hill in the 8th inning. Why? Why? And then you wonder why this man doesn't have but so much for you come postseason time, because you wear him down in the regular season.
That's a good point. And Kershaw is not like a change-up type pitcher.
Right. Yeah.
His 2 best pitches is fastball, curveball. It's a lot of stress on his elbow, pitching a lot of innings throughout his prime. Okay, the Reds. So I don't think the Dodgers are a lock. We'll see. I agree. Okay. The Red Sox, I believe, are going to the World Series. And the reason I say that is that's a 108-win team. They're better than the rest of baseball, including the Astros, including the Yankees, who both won 100-plus games. When an 108-win team gets lucky, and I'm not saying this to down your Red Sox, Boston, even though I'd love to. I'm a Yankees fan who saw between 96 and 2001, the Yankees come one play away from winning 5 out of 6 World Series. They won 4 out of 5 as it was. When a 108-win team gets a little lucky, which what happened to the Red Sox last night, that is destiny saying it is their turn. Altuve hit a home run. Someone tries to, they try to make a play in the outfield, jump up over the fence. A fan did not interfere with the ball. That was in the stands. A fan could do what he wants, and it was called, an out because of the interference. Right? That was a home run.
Well, I will tell you,
I'm looking at it right
that
now.
was definitely a home run. I would tell you that, but I will also.
That tries to make the play. Look, he's in the stands.
That's right.
Yeah.
I will also tell you this, though. This is what I would say to you. There's going to be a Game 7. Let's be very, very clear. David Price is going up against Verlander. You can scratch that. Verlander ain't losing. I don't believe it, not for 1 second. You talk about betting my money, who you betting on? I'm betting on Verlander. Listen, I like David Price, but we all know his postseason struggles. We also know that ain't necessarily a problem with Justin Verlander. He is the truth and a half. And you're on the brink of elimination. I'm sorry. I'm rolling with Verlander. I definitely think that it's a situation right now. They're down 3-1. There will be a game 6 in the ALCS. I think it's going to be a game 7 in the NLCS.
The reason I brought up the Yankees from back then is I know as a Yankees fan, how much luck was required for them to do what they did, even though they were the best team. The Red Sox are the best team in baseball, and they're getting calls they don't deserve. They're going to the World Series.
Listen, October, if you're a sports fan, doesn't get any better, guys. Max, how about your Raptors last night? I know how much you love them. Kawhi Leonard, huge effort on both sides of the ball, 24 points, 12 rebounds. They absolutely blew out the Cavs.
Yeah.
So, Max, here's the question. You feeling better or worse about Toronto?
Yeah, I'm feeling exactly the same, which is they're going to be in the conference finals. They are 50-50 against the Celtics. This is not even Kawhi Leonard yet. Here are the 3 questions about Toronto coming into this season, okay? There were 3 questions. 1, is Kawhi healthy? Not 100% yet, and he's already the best player on the floor. 2, outside of the Spurs and Popovich, can Kawhi still be an elite player, like an MVP candidate level player? Again, he's still not obviously physically 100%, and the answer is yes, too.